Hi, I'm Steve Schnee. I would like to state before you watch this video that I am expressing my opinions only. I'm not expressing your opinions or the opinions of your neighbors or your friends or your coworkers. So don't get your poopies in a twist. If you disagree with me, this is just for fun. I love Elvis. He's my favorite vocalist of all time. So let's start the video. Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, and you are watching the CD Junkie. On this episode of the CD Junkie, I am going to attempt to review every RCA Records album released by Elvis Presley during his lifetime, which means I will be reviewing soundtracks and some compilations, but I will not be reviewing any posthumous releases. There's lots of great compilations that came out after his passing, but I'm going to focus on what he released during his lifetime, basically 1955 to 1977. These are the RCA Records albums. Some of my takes, which will all be honest, will be controversial to some Elvis fans, maybe to all Elvis fans. For the sake of time, I have to keep them brief and concise, but you will definitely know how I feel about each album. Now, if you've been on the fence about collecting Elvis albums, there's so much to love here. Not every one of them is a winner, but by the end of this video, hopefully you will have an idea on where to start your Elvis collection. So let's dive in. His RCA Records album catalog begins with the self-titled album, Elvis Presley. This is an amazing album and is the blueprint for rock and roll. Next up is his half self-titled album, Elvis, which is another amazing collection. This shows a little bit more versatility and is another great addition to your collection. The soundtrack to the movie Loving You. It's not 100% great, but it's maybe 80% great. Elvis's Christmas album. It's Elvis. It's Christmas. Yeah! Elvis's Golden Records. The standard for a great compilation. I swear. The soundtrack to King Creole. This is a really good collection. Still raw, and Elvis has the swing. For LP fans only, this was when Elvis was in the Army, so they threw together just a collection of random tracks that had not been on albums, either on RCA or Sun Records. Pretty good. Same thing for LP fans only. A Date with Elvis was a collection of songs recorded before he went into the Army and is a little bit less successful. 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong, which was Elvis Golden Records Volume 2. An iconic cover, an iconic collection of great rock and roll songs from the legend that is Elvis Presley. Elvis Is Back was his first studio album since he got out of the Army, and it is incredible. His voice is just an absolutely wonderful thing, and the songs on this are amazing. Sure, it's not that tough raw rock and roll of the mid to late 50s, but his voice is on fire. Elvis is on fire. An incredible record. GI Blues was his first post-Army film. Not the greatest soundtrack, but still very, very good. And Elvis was in fine form, just not as on fire as he was on Elvis Is Back. Elvis and gospel music, incredible. While the songs on Elvis Is Back was specifically recorded for a new album, this is the first album that I feel really started to show that Elvis, they were just compiling tracks from his studio sessions. He would go in and he would record songs for soundtracks. He would record songs for singles, and he would record album tracks. And then they would just start cherry picking, the songs for soundtracks obviously went to those. And then they would just compile albums from leftover tracks. But Something for Everybody is still absolutely solid. Blue Hawaii, another fine soundtrack by Mr. Elvis Presley. Well, maybe I could do without the song Ito Eats. Potluck, yet another collection of studio tracks that he'd recorded in the previous year or so. Still absolutely solid, and I don't understand why they put out an album with Elvis and lopsided hair. Girls, Girls, Girls. His movie started to get a little mindless, but still a lot of fun. This soundtrack, another mindless and fun album. Very rarely did he have hits from his movie soundtracks, but from Blue Hawaii, he had Can't Help Falling in Love, and from Girls, 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 Return to Sender. It Happened at the World's Fair. Not really one of my favorites, but Kurt Russell did kick Elvis in the shins in the movie. Elvis's Golden Records Volume 3, this is my favorite Elvis release, be it the regular album or the CD versions that have had bonus tracks. Absolutely my favorite collection by anybody. And this is the Elvis album that I always tend to play when I'm in the mood to hear early 60s Elvis. Incredible. This is not 100% great. It is 172% great. Fun in Acapulco probably was not recorded in Acapulco, and it certainly isn't fun. Kissin' Cousins, a whole lot of fun, and some really, really, really great songs. Roustabout. By this time, the movies were even more mindless and fun than ever before, and he was cranking them out. I think at this point, he was releasing like 30 movies a year. But no, this is a whole lot of fun. Not one of the greatest, but still some really fine songs there. Girl Happy, right up there with fun. Not 100% solid, but still a whole lot of fun. Similar to albums like Potluck, Elvis for Everyone was another collection of various non-soundtrack studio tracks that he had recorded. I think it's a great collection of songs, and he doesn't have lopsided hair. Harem Scarum, P.U. Well, except for the song So Close Yet So Far. If you want to hear Elvis fronting a Dixieland jazz band, go for it. Look, I'm not here to diss Elvis. But it's not that bad. Spin Out, a whole lot of fun. Elvis and Gospel, beautiful. Double Trouble, the movie was fun. Look, if you're looking for depth in an Elvis album, the soundtracks don't have a whole lot of depth. But you know what? Clam Bake is fun, plus the movie had Shelley Fabares and Bill Bixby. What's not to love about that? Except for the entire soundtrack. Some of it's really good, though. Elvis's Gold Records Volume 4. By this time, it's not as strong as the other three, but still, you need it in your collection. Look, I love Elvis. I love Elvis movies. But there are some soundtracks where I look at the cover and I can't remember a damn song that was on it. But then I remember that this one has Nancy Sinatra. And I say, va va voom for Speedway. Elvis sings Flaming Star. This is the first of like the Pickwick albums and stuff. This is where they just threw together some songs that were from soundtracks that had never been released on an album, plus maybe some singles around that time. And I love these Pickwick albums. Oh, lordy, 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 do I love these. This is a great collection. This may not be his Abbey Road, but it's certainly not his Metal Machine music. The comeback special. If I Can Dream alone is worth owning this. But a lot of great Elvis vocal performances, memories, and then of course the leather suit, the sit down stuff. Yeah, prime Elvis. An album that nearly makes me cry every time I listen to it. Elvis at his absolute prime. I don't think that Elvis sounded better than he did between 67 and 71 vocally. So much power. It was coming from the gut. This is proof. Man, this whole... yeah! Elvis back in Memphis, songs from those same sessions, really incredible. It was paired with a Live at the International album, and of course this was the first in a line of 478 Elvis live albums. Yet another one of the Pickwick Camden releases, Let's Be Friends, a collection of songs from his recent films at this point, his late 60s films. Most of the songs were released on EPs or maybe not released at all from those later films, and they started compiling them for albums. I think it's wonderful. It's a great variety of songs, and some of the soundtrack films are absolutely great, no matter how much I sort of poke fun at them. On Stage, February 1970, pretty good live album. I mean, it's not put together, structured like a live album. It's basically just live recordings from this series of performances. It's okay. You can't deny the power of his voice, though. Another in the great Pickwick Camden releases. In fact, you should check out my channel where I go through all the collections, and I love these albums so much. Sure, they were a hodgepodge, but this is stuff you couldn't get anywhere else. You'll probably notice in this video that I don't feature all of the Camden Pickwick releases. I'm only featuring the ones that come in the 60 CD box set, and these are featured here because they feature songs that are not on any of the other albums or CDs. Soundtrack to the rehearsal and live film, That's the Way It Is, incredible. Elvis sounded incredible. This is a collection of, songs at that point that he had not released. So the live versions of certain songs are not songs that were available in his catalog already. So it's pretty much an album of entirely new material and is a must-have for Elvis collectors. The studio sessions from That's the Way It Is also gave us the Elvis Country album. And look, Snowbird by Anne Murray, you'd think, oh, whatever, but no, Elvis handles that so well. This also has It's Your Baby, You Rock It, which is just a great obscure Elvis track. So many great songs on this. Definitely something to check out. And to think he recorded it when he was only 3 years old. That's the war. Also from that same period, Love Letters from Elvis, another great collection, great vocal performances, but not quite up to the standards of That's the Way It Is or Elvis Country. Oh, another classic Pickwick Camden collection. Oh, Be Still My Heart. I love this stuff so much. Classic soundtrack recordings compiled together. This is stuff from like the early 60s with a current picture of Elvis on the cover. So all these recorded 10 years before this picture was taken. Oh, Colonel Parker, you made stupid decisions. Oh man, another great one. I do really love these. And I do honestly love the soundtrack stuff, just not the entire albums, but these things had just killer tracks from a picture taken 10 years after they were recorded. Elvis, Christmas. Elvis Now. I consider this the weakest of his 70s albums. This was just a hodgepodge thrown together. They even threw in a horrible version of Hey Jude from 1969 in this album, and that song was already 3 years old, and it had been junked, when they were releasing albums and singles from the American Studios recordings. Elvis Gospel. Elvis, as recorded at Madison Square Garden. This was a legendary concert, and this picture was taken from that concert. It's energetic, it's fun. I do like the remix that they did just a couple years ago. This is a great album cover that was supposed to be used for a different album cover that was canceled at the last minute, and they threw it on there. But expect that from now on. All the concert pictures don't link up with... But still, this is a really solid, fiery performance. So what do you do after a live album? You release another live album. This, of course, is Elvis Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. This is a legendary live album. Oddly enough, it was filmed in January of 73 and was simulcast across the world, via satellite, as the title says. Wasn't shown in America for like another 3 months, but still, it's one of his classic albums. I have to admit, he sounds great. I don't think his performance is as fiery as it was on a lot of other shows that I've heard from this time period. I think he was nervous, but still solid collection of songs. So what do you do after you have this huge live performance around the world and you are on fire again? You are one of the hottest artists in the world. You release a mediocre album called Fool. Actually, it's called Elvis, but I think that Colonel Tom Parker was a fool for putting this together. It's not bad, but he could have thrown on Burnin' Love, Always on My Mind, songs like that, and made this album so much better. There are variations on that. You can get an album called Standing Room Only. You can get an album called Burnin' Love out there on CD somewhere that are better representations of this time period. But at least this is better than that Elvis Now album. Elvis Raised on Rock, or For Old Time's Sake, it depends on, I guess, what your mood was. My mood was not going to listen to that one again. Good Times, this is taken from Stack Sessions and stuff. I don't think that Elvis was really that into it, but there is some great songs on this. In fact, I love his version of Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues. Absolutely stellar. I'll listen to outtakes of that song all day long. He was way into that. And there are some good songs in this. It's certainly better than the Raised on Rock and the Elvis Now album. Oh, look, it's Elvis recorded live on stage in Memphis. The only thing I can say about this album is I totally want a t-shirt that has this logo on it. I love this logo. This is that 70s like wham type logo, and I cannot find a t-shirt with just that. I might find that, but I'll say like Elvis Presley Lives or something like that. No, I just want a black t-shirt with that logo. It doesn't matter if it's that color. The album though, whatever. Promised Land. This is when Elvis really started kicking back into it. This is a really fun album. Elvis Promised Land. This is, in my opinion, great logo, and it has Elvis is on fire again. It's like, I got a fire in my belly, and it's just really, really a fun album. I think vocally, I think he's excited again, and it really comes out on this album. Personally speaking, I think Elvis today is even better than Promised Land. This is one of my favorite Elvis 70s albums. Not only does it have that cool logo, but it's just a great collection of songs. From Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee, probably one of the saddest Elvis albums ever. It is so emotionally draining when you listen to it. It's one of my absolute favorites. I love this album to death. Of course, it says recorded live, and you see this great picture of Elvis. Recorded live, maybe recorded live in the studio. It's not a live album. Colonel Tom Parker, RCA. Oh, let's just torpedo Elvis's career. They started doing that in 1955. No, look, Colonel Tom Parker made Elvis the man he became, but he also just, I don't know. But this is beautiful. It is so emotionally heavy. The loss this is just an absolutely wonderful album. And this is the first of 2 albums recorded at the Jungle Room sessions in Graceland. Recorded live, Moody Blue was the final studio album released by Elvis during his lifetime. The sessions were taken at the Jungle Room sessions, and of course they threw on a couple random live tracks. I believe that the Little Darlin' on this was the same version that's on the recorded in Memphis. Why did you guys do this to Elvis? But it's got the cool logo. God, I want that. I don't want Moody Blue. I just want a shirt with that logo. I would buy 7 of them if they were like $3 each, because that's all I could afford. No, this is wonderful. The title track is great. Elvis still, it's not as heartbreaking as the from Elvis Presley Boulevard album, but it is. I love it. You know, I know people are going to go, well, it doesn't sound like his first album. Yeah, okay, duh, I swore. Anyway, that is it. I have gone through the entire Elvis Presley catalog in this many minutes. I don't know how many now because I have to edit it down. I hope that this helps you make a choice when it comes to starting your Elvis Presley collection, because I know that you will start buying Elvis CDs, LPs, cassettes, 8-tracks, DVDs, whatever the heck you want, because he was and remains the greatest male vocalist of all time. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell for future notifications, and until the next time, remember me. I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.